I'm sure we've all had that chat with our mates. If you were stranded on a desert island, what 10 games would you want to have with you? Here are my 10 desert island games. Before we begin, let's go over some ground rules. Number 1, 1 game per franchise. Number 2, no compilations like Sega Mega Drive Classics or the Hitman HD trilogy. Number 3, I've tried to represent a diverse range of genres. If I'm stuck on a desert island, then some variety's always nice. Number 4, this is completely based on biased favoritism, and I'm not saying that these are the best games of all time. With that settled, let's get into the list itself. Let's kick things off with Streets of Rage 2. Sometimes you just need a quick, simple pick-up-and-play game about punching people in the face, and this title's awesome mix of an overrun city setting, 90s punk fashion, and the phenomenal dance music soundtrack by Yuzo Koshiro, not to mention delicate gameplay balancing, provides a unique and addicting hit. Now, if I could just find a buddy on this island for some co-op action. Keeping with the theme of punching people, we have Marvel vs. Capcom 2. A lot of fighting games battled it out for this spot, including Tekken Tag Tournament, Street Fighter Alpha 3, and Soul Calibur 2. But Marvel vs. Capcom 2 gets the edge by not taking itself seriously. The character roster is absurd, balance doesn't exist, and even a novice can button mash and have something cool happen. It's an over-the-top mile-a-minute spectacle fighter and a fantastic tool for stress relief. It also helps that the sprite art on the characters is simply stunning. Crash Bandicoot 2 is my favourite of the original Crash trilogy. It loses the punishing difficulty of the first game, has great level variety, and adds a couple of new gameplay styles without going to the extremes of Crash 3. In my mind, the third game loses its focus and spreads itself too thin, while Crash 2 maintains a core offering of platforming challenges that are nicely supplemented by a sprinkling of distractions. This was also the first time I had to think about whether I'd take the original or its remake. Technically, its remake is only available as part of a compilation and could be disqualified on those grounds. Plus, as good as the remake is, the original is how I remember the title, as well as being the version I'm more likely to go back to. Shenmue has a very strange effect on me, one that not even its own sequel can replicate. Walking around Dobuita in that title gives me the same feelings of nostalgia I get when I visit my real-life hometown. It's absolutely bizarre, but provides a fondness for this game that excuses its awkward controls, so awful its good voice acting, and unusual pace. I can easily lose days just chatting to people, playing the arcade machines, buying figures, and trying my luck at the convenience store lotto. It's the very definition of how a small but densely packed area with no repeated assets is preferable to a larger open world that employs copy-paste. On a desert island, I might not mind the lack of company if I have a copy of Shenmue to hand. Lara Croft's original adventure is seared into my mind. While Tomb Raider tasks you with exploring ruins and death traps that have lain dormant for thousands of years, it all feels very familiar to me. I know these places inside and out. Even so, the environment commands respect. There's a slow pace, you need to think about and plan your jumps. You're in a puzzle box of keys and switches, and the second you get cocky or complacent is the second the game kills you. It demands your focus and attention. This is accompanied by a soundtrack that's sparingly but very effectively used, and a gorgeous colour palette that provides a unique and stunning aesthetic, which makes the locations feel truly alien and fascinating. This is perhaps the only game on the list where I didn't even consider going for its remake instead. If I were being polite, I'd call Tomb Raider Anniversary a streamlined experience, catering to its release period's then current tastes. A game that fails to capture the mystery and atmosphere of the original. Hitting the road in Burnout 3 Takedown is a unique feeling. You're zipping through traffic, smashing rivals into little pieces, burning through nitrous, all the time trying not to crash yourself, to the best licensed soundtrack since Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. It's got an arcade feel, it doesn't care for realism, and it's sheer adrenaline from start to finish. The variety of modes, traditional racing, road rage where you just need to take down other cars, and crash mode where you're trying to cause the biggest wrecks, means Burnout 3 can cater to multiple moods, and that versatility, combined with its escapist feel-good factor, earns it a well-deserved place here. As I write this, the release of Dangerous Driving is only a couple of days away. It's basically the people who made Burnout going for a spiritual successor, and I'm really excited for it. Time will tell if that game can topple Burnout 3. It's hard to pick just one open-world sandbox, and while Just Cause, Sleeping Dogs, and Saints Row all have their merits, Grand Theft Auto is still the undisputed king. Among the GTAs, Vice City still stands out to me as my firm favourite. San Andreas has the most features and a more varied map. 5 is a technical marvel that's a joy to play with its more modern controls, but Vice City has so much style that it wins out. The characters, the colours, the music, the theme of building an empire. Nowhere else is as fun to dominate and rampage around, and that's what makes Vice City the clear winner by a landslide in my eyes. Resident Evil 2 is one of the strangest horror games out there. You start out weak, scared and overwhelmed, but as the game goes on, your confidence and arsenal grows to the point it becomes closer to an action power fantasy. I think that would have parallels to adjusting to a new life after washing up on a strange shore. Learning to find food, water, and shelter are likely to be intimidating tasks that eventually become something you master and actively enjoy. With 4 scenarios, Claire A. Leon B being the best pairing, fight me, it's going to last a while and keep delivering different takes on the same core experience. I was back and forth on whether this entry belongs to the original or the remake. They're very different games, with the 2019 version being more of a reimagining, and while it seriously impressed me, and I'm much better at the remake, it's still the original that comes to mind when I think of Resident Evil 2. That said, my opinion on which version's better currently changes daily, so we'll see where I stand a year from now. I'd confidently say Final Fantasy IX is the greatest JRPG of all time. The world screams classic fantasy, I adore the borderline chibi anime style of the characters, the humour is extremely welcome, to get overly specific, linking skills to weapons keeps old equipment relevant, and Melodies of Life sends chills down my spine every time I hear it. This is, without a doubt, one of the all-time greats and ranks highly on my personal favourite games of all time. It shines in a desert island setting thanks to the massive runtime, its huge variety of optional content, and its uncanny ability to portray human resilience. I'd say FF9's lesson is you can smile through anything, even being trapped on an uncharted island. We started with the Mega Drive, and we're ending with the Mega Drive. Anyone who knows me or is familiar with this channel won't be surprised to see Sonic 2 at the top of this list. It's my favourite game of all time, it's one of the first games I remember playing, it offers speedy platforming you simply can't get elsewhere, the length is near perfect, the original soundtrack is comprised of some of the best Mega Drive tunes ever, it's gorgeous to look at, and I've bought almost every re-release on practically every console and handheld I own. If I could take only one game to a desert island, it'd be this one. Sure, you can see the credits in under an hour, but I've already replayed this game more times than I care to count. Sonic 2 is almost like an instinctive comfort food at this point. Had a bad day? Put Sonic 2 on, switch off your brain, and immediately feel so much better. I could have easily made 3 or 4 of these lists because there are simply too many great games out there. Picking just 10 was incredibly hard. I'm a little surprised at the results myself, and I think this list would probably change every time you asked me. I've already had conversations with my friends and my wife where they've gone, "Oh, what about this game?" and my brain's immediately gone, "Oh god, yeah!" I also found it interesting I only needed to use 3 consoles to record all of my gameplay footage, something that'd be very handy on a desert island. Likewise, when I went to record footage of each of these games, I told myself I'd just record the opening 30 minutes, reminding myself that with at least 10 games to record, that's 5 hours work. But I loved these games so much, I went way over that almost every single time. It gave me confidence I'd chosen the right games, and even affected the rankings a little. No doubt you'll all have lists of your own, so sound off in the comments with the games that you'd take with you and why, and I'll see you on the next video.